Welcome to WPPM Podcast, Wind Power Project Management Master's Program at Campus Gotland Uppsala University. And we are delighted to have Sophia as our guest, who is a former student of the program. Sophia, please give us a little bit about your background and your story.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a big joy for me to be back at the island and also meet you guys that are currently studying the program. So, myself, I studied the Master in Wind Power Project Management in 2018 and 19, 5 years ago. And I did it alongside my then job that I had. I was working for a wind turbine supplier and I found the program by accident. It was a lucky Google accident.
Okay.
And for the past 7 years, I have worked with onshore wind construction. And today I work on the buyer and developer side, but still in the construction phase
Mhm.
as a construction project manager.
Okay, fancy word. But we can a little bit talk about the role itself and what you do actually. But you can give us a little bit more about your story because I think it's very interesting for many people with different backgrounds.
Yeah, so typically when you think about wind power and wind energy, you
Mm.
would think of something very technological and engineering focused. And for myself, I have a bachelor's in social work and a master in development studies, which is more towards governmental and humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
So that's how I started out my academic career, more focused on societal impact, individual, and then I was working with that for a few years. And for myself personally, I was never seeking a traditional career, perhaps, and also trying to avoid the 9 to 5 office life. And this is what I then changed 7 years ago when I decided that I will give 9 to 5 a chance. I will give office work a chance. And I applied for a position in a company and industry I had never worked in. But in my imagination, this would be like a first good entry point into the corporate industry. And that was, I, s- I applied for the position as project assistant at Nordex, which is one of the bigger OEMs, the bigger wind turbine suppliers. It's a German company. And in a way, I feel it was a jackpot because when I started the job, my new boss told me, "Okay, Sophia, now you must leave the office. You have to
Okay.
go out into the real world and to visit our active construction site." And I thought, yes, great. I got the corporate part and the office part, but also then what ended up being my everyday for 5 years was spending about half of my work time out in the field and on the construction sites.
Mhm.
And well, the journey that it's been, not having an engineering and technical background, and what I perhaps is give testament to is that if you're interested and let's say passionate, which is a bit of a overused term, but if you're excited about something, you can do anything. And I have been so lucky to have both managers, bosses that have given me opportunities, although I don't fill all of the boxes in my CV and credentials, but they've opened doors because they have believed in me and I've worked very hard as well to get to where I am today. So being an engineer is not a prerequisite, which is required to work in the wind industry.
Yeah, but
And
what was the challenges, biggest challenges when you start working in this profession as someone who is actually changing the career technically?
well, that like on a practical level, it's kind of understanding and grasping a new industry and how do you do that? And that's where this master program was actually key for me. It was the stepping stone that allowed me to get the bird's eye view of all of the different aspects that goes into an energy infrastructure project, not only wind, but to understand how complex it is to um, develop and bring these kind of things into fruition. But uh, I think what was challenging was, of course, to calm down my own expectations of that I thought that I needed to understand everything now, that I've done this now for X amount of years, or now I've studied this program, but to actually just then ease into it, and you learn along the way. And this is the continuous journey of life and your career. You will never be fully taught in anything, and how I've managed the challenges of anything is uh, just continuing to ask questions. Uh, that's the main thing, because maybe something that can be considered a challenge as I work in the construction industry is being a woman, which has never been the case.
Mhm.
Actually, that's
Yeah.
never been the factor which has limited me. It's more been about if I have drive and interest to invest into working, then I've been given opportunities. So gender at least hasn't been the problem. It's never been discussed. But I understand that people think of it often, as I work in a very male dominated industry.
Okay.
Mm.
So you started working at Nordex, right?
Yes.
And after a while, you found this program, Wind Power Project Management. And what happened then?
So I applied to the program in secret. I didn't tell my boss. And then I got accepted, and I told my boss, "Oh, I found this perfect program which will be perfect for my job there as well." And so we agreed that I would continue working part-time, and I came to the island and I started the program, and already after a week I understood that this was a different type of uh, curriculum, and also how it's created for the students. It's different from what I had experienced before. Uh, what I've heard others say and what my experience is that I've never learned so much in 1 year, because um, it's a program which is created to really create a good momentum, to have relevant content in it, and also relating it to reality. And what does this mean? Very hands-on and involving seminars. We would have group assignments all the time, sometimes multiple presentations a week. And it is a very demanding program, but the benefits you get from that are like it's worth a lot. Like people would pay very good money to understand and learn this much of something so complex in only 1 year. So that made the learning experience very constructive and rewarding. And being at the island as well, I think, is a perfect geographical location.
Yes.
Yeah, because the environment around you kind of calms you down from the intensity of the program. And also, as a class, you become very tight knit. Everyone's very different. We had 20 students, and I think 14 different nationalities out of those 20. So you have a really cool mix of people from everywhere with various backgrounds. And it's a really nice
So,
experience to have had.
okay, but which part of the program was the most interesting part for you? For example, for me, um, feasibility study was very fruitful, and having to have like exhibitions and those kind of things, those are really practical.
So, one thing about the program, which is so great, is that they take in a lot of feedback from the students and continuously every year update it. So, the feasibility study that you mentioned, I imagine, is about the same as we did 5 years ago. So, that's when you do a group assignment and you develop a project.
Yep.
uh, you're given GPS coordinates, right? Or
Yes.
of a location? Oh,
And no, you have to choose the location
okay.
yourself.
Oh, great. You got that liberty. We didn't get that.
Okay.
All right. So the feasibility study and project is the first one that came to my mind as well. That was where you actually get to walk the talk and everything you've heard of in the first semester.
Hmm.
And although you don't understand everything yet, through the feasibility study, you can really apply all of these ideas and concepts. And um, so of course you present the project as such, but you also do these role play assignments, and everyone plays different roles, and it's really fun. And it's the amazing thing about that is that it's also such a safe space to practice. You don't have to be out in the real world and deal with the real consequences, but you
Yes.
actually, it's like a nice test lab to be in this program because you get to test your ideas and make mistakes.
Okay. So, you came here, you studied the program, and what was the difference before and after having this knowledge? What was the benefits of the program?
Well, something you can tell from my CV is that when I hadn't even completed the first year, I was promoted.
No.
So I got more responsibilities. Of course, they weren't linked as such because my boss, he didn't think I needed to do the program, but as I got promoted, I got more responsibilities. I became a project manager for a construction project that started when I was doing the program. I felt like I could understand how all the different stakeholders were connected in a different way than I had before. Because until I started the program, I just had been briefly introduced to a lot of concepts, but I didn't understand the relevance. So with that, I felt in my new role as project manager that I had a tool set and I could guide myself much better, myself and the team that I had. And so in that sense, it's been, yeah, my tool belt has definitely it definitely grew during that very short period of time.
So, right now you are working as a construction PM. Let's talk about the role itself. What do you do actually?
So the reason for me now being here in Gotland is to give you and your classmates an introduction into what I do, and there are some terms that I can mention, uh, which are more corporate, like risk management. I do change management and stakeholder management, and they all seem kind of fluffy until you start filling in the content of what a project is. But um, just from a practical point of view, I I am responsible on the buyer side for a wind farm to be constructed. It's a period that usually takes 2 years. And my job is to ensure that all of the different contractors and suppliers deliver on time. So that in 2 years from the start, that everything is constructed and delivered in a high quality and timely manner. And then with that comes all of the different themes that you have in construction, like HSE and many different stakeholders to deal with. I mentioned that in the current project I have, it's 27, and it's all kinds of themes. It's handling permits with authorities
Mhm.
and its neighbors, different associations, and then the contractors, suppliers, and the owner, the
Okay.
future owner.
Okay, thank you. We will have another episode about construction management. I know that your time is limited, so I will move to my other question. Do you have any word with students of the program or people who are thinking about selecting this program and coming to this island?
Well, the general advice is do what you enjoy in life. So if you are curious about wind power, this is really the best place to go to, I think, because this program is unique in the world as well. And that's why there are so many different uh, students from different countries doing this program, because there's none like it. And the real benefit is that you don't get stuck on one level and theme, may it be engineering and technical topics, but you get the full picture. You understand the whole pie and not just slices of it. So if you are curious to explore and learn about the wind industry, and then from there start trying out different roles and possible careers, this is really the perfect place to go to. But at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy it, it's never going to be good. So do what you love, and
Okay.
you may not know yet what you will enjoy and love in the future, and that's ever changing. So just, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, is there any hot trend and topic that we can use as our thesis topics now?
Well, the thesis is something that everyone must get done, and because it's also quite demanding, it's the same advice there. Write about something that you enjoy, and it doesn't have to be complex or advanced, but something that you're genuinely curious about. And I would say something which is in general helpful, and in with the theme of wind energy, if you can partner up with a company
Mhm.
to write your thesis for, is also making that journey a bit more enjoyable, because you
Yeah.
get an insight into reality immediately before you graduate.
Yes.
So, and that's also where you get really good ideas. You get it from the industry, from
But
reality.
do you see any knowledge gap in construction management part? A
Of
lot.
course, there, of course, there are always things to improve, and that's how the world works.
Mhm.
And but from the top of my head, I can't really point out one. Feel free to contact me after if you
Okay.
want to, if anyone wants to write about something, and I'm sure I can pick out at least three different ones. But that's how the world works. It's continuously developing and changing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
mm.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.